pretty bad through its backstory. Now let me explain why it's even worse.
Yes, the backstory was very freaking weak, man. Not actually worth considering. What was the backstory? What, the food chain theory? You lying about, John Mole Rat thing? What's bad about it? I forget. But, moving on.
So the idea that Megaton hit groundwater is completely based on speculation.
Absolutely. I covered this section in my video. I just miss a few stupid little details that really aren't worth bothering with. And also, I wonder if we're going to get to the section where he harps on the 3 flowers in the cemetery. I've recently been playing Outer Worlds, because that's going to be the background footage for the actual video to sort of distinguish my video in case anyone watches my video physically instead of just listening to it, which it's completely I'm going to make it almost completely capable of just listening to it instead of just watching the video. For the evidence will be on screen, flash up on screen just to verify things, but that's besides it. But yeah, that's going to be how that goes. And let me just cover these other things. Some about 3 flowers in the cemetery that Creed harped on twice. Noting for the record that because of Outer Worlds, they actually sort of hints that they use dead bodies for fertilizer to get on that first planet, whatever it was called. Spacer's Choice bullshit. But yeah, they used it for fertilizer so they could grow plants, so that'd be an indication that most of Fallout 3's wasteland cannot grow plant life, at least beyond grasses and bushes and other tough like weed things, without some sort of treatment like a dead body to grow plants. I'm sure in that spot you could grow an edible plant, but the flower probably took root because I guess somehow a flower seed was there, or maybe the dead person had a wilted flower with seeds. Wish not to speculate. But back to this section.
Again, it's just something John is inventing to defend the game. As explained...
Invention. He does not need to put this frame in. In fact, he probably repeats his points over and over again to break down the viewer. That's why it needs to be so long. It's like a struggle session for the Chinese. But people aren't forced to watch it. If they were, maybe everyone would agree with Creed and maybe he would like it. Don't think he's a communist, but I could be wrong. I'm sure right-wing extremists probably have similar techniques, but it's most popularized in Chinese re-education camps right at the moment. Used to be Russian. I don't really hear too much about that from the right-wing side of things, but I shouldn't really get into politics. I'm sure it's done.
Rather than looking at the objective facts. At least...
Again, facts. You ain't caught any, Cree. Where are your facts? Okay, what are the objective facts?
Leads you into spouting baseless and unsupported bullshit.
It's not stopping you.
In order to score defense points for the game.
Only you care about points, Cree.
Now I'm going to bring back a line he said earlier.
Now I love Megaton, and that's partly because it has great visual design, because it's easier to get attached to a place if it's visually distinct. For example, I'm pretty sure I know where everybody lives in
Yes, this non-point again. Please, do. Just make him look bad for this non-point. I agree it's bad. It's almost worse that you're bringing up this point instead of the point you should be trying to bring up. Because, yeah, I cover this in my video more succinctly than I will here. But I'll try it here, because I need to correct something for the record, so to speak.
Megaton.
So he knows where everyone lives in Megaton, right? Would that include Walter, living at the water processing plant?
Yep, and also Walter is going to be my witness today. Bring it on, Cree.
The place that supposedly purifies the water for the town?
Oh, look at that framing. Supposedly purifies. Okay, My video is not going to cover this in this much detail, so let's look at this.
I mean, I know he knows about this.
Okay, we have 4 rads there in the corner. So, not perfect purification. You get water. Maybe it's not even connected to the main thing. Maybe that's just a partial line and it has another process down the line. I don't want to speculate on that, but at least here it's 4 rads per sip.
This because he refers to the
4 or 5 if you want to look down here at the bottom. There's the 4 up at the top right and 5 there. I'm going to be going off of the number that pops up on the top right.
leaky pipes later on in his video. So why is he referring to the puddle being the water source?
Yeah.
There's 3 problems here. Firstly, the water processing plant is the town's water source.
It's not the only water source, but I would say it's the main source of water. You could say that. The main source of purified water. I'm sure the children of Adam does not actually use that water source, unless they're heretics or something. But do go on.
Providing semi-purified water. Walter references this as the town's water source.
Yes, he also referenced, because you need scrap to get... Here's something Creed is conveniently leaving out. Here's water. I'm going to wiki. I just want to go straight to the wiki. You have a quest. OBS. Disconnect it real quickly. Anna sneezes incoming. Or not. Or in the middle of me talking, probably. That's how it goes. Okay. Here's one of the lines.
I hope you can help. If folks knew how bad it was getting up here, well, I don't know what would happen.
Oh, another thing to his point about the bomb. I don't even know if I'm going to include this in the video. It might be a little overkill to... I'm actually making the video a little bit weaker than I should. Just because I want there to be points. I don't know why I'm doing it. Probably laziness. I don't want to overload it too much. I'm not Cree. I don't need... I actually have evidence, so why use?
What can I tell you about Megaton? Well, that fucking bomb is killing us all slowly. How's that for a piece of information?
So no one's concerned about the bomb, according to Cree. This is sort of that. In the water, no one's worried. This is a point to bring up later. Might as well reiterate. Oh, yeah.
All right, relax. But all you've done is delay the inevitable. Without those parts, the plant's gonna croak sooner or later. But what do you care? You just want your money. Here, take it and get out.
Yeah, I will. Back to this. Back to our regularly scheduled program of listen to annoying Cree.
This literally isn't even up for debate. Secondly, the leaking pipe...
Oh, debate. I wonder if Cree would debate me on this shit. Probably not. Probably too much of a coward to actually have a legitimate conversation with someone. Someone who's trying to imitate, well, Mueller along with freaking everyone under the sun as far as Mueller, Mr. Caption. She probably picked up tricks from a lot of different people, in my personal opinion, from what I've seen. Like a hybrid style for the ultimate criticism.
Pipes would imply the water at the bottom of the crater is runoff due to that.
Yes, I go over this in my video. There's 3 theories someone would come up with. One is there's a water source that drains into down the hill towards the bomb. Second, of course, rainwater, which Creed attacks, but he defends New Vegas for not having rain because it's in the desert, and that's such a bullshit excuse. He mentions, oh, it could have been technical limitations. It was technical limitations. They could have had it, but it would have looked like crap according to what I know. As supposedly, it looked like crap in Oblivion, which used the same set of game embryo and the Havoc's physics engine.
That.
Maybe a bit,
Finally,
Sacred G.
in his own clips,
Let's see how well
he
this
shows
goes.
his character drinking water that is less toxic
How am I
than the
sounding?
water of Megaton. Meaning, if toxic water were an issue and they're still using it as a water source, then it would have made sense to settle elsewhere around less toxic water. John really shot himself in the foot here. Keep in mind,
I hate his expressions.
all of this sprung from the criticism of the town being built around the crater. He then references the shandification video and makes an excuse for Megaton's food source. Then he runs straight into explaining the water source when that was never an issue raised.
Speaking of that, some people
Yes, he wanted to cover his bases. Sheesh. Okay.
really bloody hate the bomb, by the way, because it's odd to build a town around a bomb. It never bothered me, though, so I always thought there was a fairly sensible reason. As for water, well, when the bomb hit, but didn't. You see, there's an old video from about 5 years ago that...
It's not. Knowing the backstory behind Megaton is actually worse than nothing at all. This brings me back to how I said the Megaton crater gets worse. So first off, many pre-industrial towns and cities were typically built on hills rather than in valleys or other lowlands, due to the sheer advantage of height. You have a better vantage point to see incoming attackers, as opposed to building in lowlands or on flat land.
I don't cover this because
You also have gravity working on your side for those using ranged weapons.
Creed is going off the assumption that the people habitating in the crater did not have these defenses up on the hill. He's going off the assumption. Oh, it's fine, man.
That their water source is the crater itself.
Okay, how to disconnect. And just get to the point that I need to cover. Oh, here's the Space Wizards one.
He mentions that we're supposed to read Megaton as the
Should
bomb
cover this.
creating the crater, which I've proven is wrong, and he essentially...
Yes, and you got wrong in your first video, as I learned from Fallout 3 is Worse Than You Know by really the much worse critic, Father Elijah, I think his name is. Well, 30 minutes of straight Bethesda abuse before he gets into his sort of story, and that's just... Anyone who's watching Father Elijah will just blow your mind in comparison to even Cree here. Proving he's wrong. He's essentially using a movie about space wizards. So, how's this? Pretty obvious reading Crater, because they take certain liberties with science to create interesting environments and story. It's not the space... He tries to create the connection to the sequel trilogy way too hard, and he fails. There was even a comment that pointed out the weakness in him taking this approach.
He uses the movie about space wizards argument.
Yeah.
It's Fallout, so I guess that means there are no rules and logical internal consistency is up.
Yeah, you're undermining his argument. Okay, it's not a complete defense. You already insulted him in that Reddit, so... you really expect people to take you seriously after you insult them.
Optional. He says they stretch reality to provide interesting settings and ideas. This is true, but he's using this to defend one of the most nonsensical things in the entire...
Okay, how's that nonsensical? Please tell me why.
entire series. Just because the bomb hasn't gone off yet, doesn't mean it won't. I wouldn't.
It doesn't mean that people care. It hasn't gone off in 200 years. You think people even know how bombs work? And it's not like there isn't a cult who worships the bomb. Maybe they think it's just a monument. There are a few people who know about the bomb, like Manya, the old lady who tells you it's the plane who created the crater and not the actual bomb. Immaterial. You nitpicking over that is a little bit funny, but it's besides the point. Still, I keep losing track. It's just immaterial in many ways. Oh yeah, he's talking about the bomb hasn't
Even
gone
mind
off
if the
wet.
bomb was properly justified, but it's not. Knowing the
How did you come to that conclusion? I'm not even gonna ask anymore. You just make claims and don't substantiate it. Yes, it's possible. Ow, sorry. Trying to justify this to trying not to insult him. Trying to justify this to Creed just seems like a fruitless task.
backstory behind Megaton is actually worse than nothing at all. This brings me back to how I said the Megaton crater gets worse. So first off, many pre-industrial towns and cities were typically built on hills rather than in valleys or other lowlands.
Okay, typically built on hills and valleys, and yada yada yada. Advantage. Cree is assuming that the defenses for the Megaton crater originally weren't on the outside. That the men armed would have been around the perimeter. Yeah, it would have been strategically not very viable to protect that whole area, but he's doing a hypothetical based on pre-industrial yada yada yada.
Lands, due to the sheer advantage of height. You have a better vantage point to see incoming attackers, as opposed to building in lowlands or on flat land. You also have gravity working on your side for those using ranged weapons. Now I realize archery isn't in Fallout.
Yes, thank you. Good example of here you would have had gravity shooting fortified location. Located work, anything used as projectile, the town under siege, total tactics, throwing rocks, clumps of... He's just going into all the hypotheticals.
Lowlands were really
that don't
only ever
matter.
good for farming if the ground was fertile or near a water source. But there's also the fact that low areas can flood. If
this
torrential
flood
rains hit
argument.
the capital wasteland, then most of Megaton would flood very quickly, and the whole town gets fucked
Nice
over.
graphic.
Considering it's all made of roughly nailed together scrap, you gotta wonder how well the supports will hold.
Okay. The thing here is he's assuming a lot. And this might actually be one of his most substance claims in reality, but he's putting a lot of assumptions, and they pretty much have a pump. You're assuming the sea level is high enough that it would flood and not drain out of any underground passages connected to water where the pump, and you have the purifier, which is pretty much a pump. You're assuming a lot of things to say that Megaton could flood like this. I'm not going to deny it, but it is a possibility. It's just a hypothetical that really doesn't help much.
When submerged, but that's an issue on Bethesda's part. We're clearly shown rain in Fallout 4.
Yes, which has a completely different engine. Okay, I realize it doesn't rain in the game. And let's get...
In both
Morrowind. That actually used Game Embryo, but I believe it did not use the Havoc physics engine of Oblivion and Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. But this is his excuse. Fallout 3 is really stupid since DC gets a lot of rain. This is his defense why...
Maybe it was a technical limitation of some kind,
Yes, how are you going to dodge on that?
but I still don't understand how Fallout 3 could be limited in that regard when Bethesda's previous game on the same system had rain too.
Yes, and it supposedly it had a lot of issues. They didn't want to fuck up this new line with fucked up rain, and it would ruin the atmosphere. And well, where's his defense
Anyways,
for?
I'm getting a bit off track here.
Oh, he's not putting his defense for actually Fallout New Vegas not having rain in the game because it's a desert until the Honest Hearts DLC, when they had plenty of time to work out how to get rain to work in. It takes time. I'm not going to defend Bethesda does not come out bugged out to start with many problems. They tried to push way beyond their own limitations. They were very ambitious and greedy. Sometimes it turned out well, sometimes it didn't.
Point is, if flooding occurred for some reason, which absolutely can fucking happen in Washington, D.C., then Megaton would be fucked. It's basically a giant basin with no drainage.
No drainage. He does not know that. Plus, has a water purifier, which I assume has the capability of pumping things out like a sewage pump. And Sacred G, frankly, you don't want to hear probably what I say about his length. I think it's for the repetition mainly, to cram in as many points between points, to keep repeating points, keep hammering things home. Yeah, there's something I read about if you keep repeating the same thing over and over again, it's a psychological illusionary wall. If you keep saying a lie over and over again, people start believing it. Maybe I'll bring it up later.
So it's going to fill up with
It
water.
was a theory. Actually, you know what? Why not? For anyone curious, this is... Since he brings up the length, I do have plenty of miscellaneous crap stored on Photoshop. Screenshot. Let's start this while that's loading up.
If Megaton had been built on a hill instead, then this would at least be less of an issue. If they were to get heavy rain, it would naturally drain outwards, away from the city, and in order to deal with flood-like conditions, they would need the water level to rise higher than the hill they've settled on, which would be an absurd amount of water. You also have to factor in other aspects to the flow of water too. In a town like Megaton, all of the garbage and dust and dirt and scraps of food and other such things are going to flow downwards into the center of town. Megaton has 2 washrooms in it. If their sewage pipes were to leak for some reason, guess where it's going? Yep, straight down into the center of town, which is what John claims the water source.
Yeah, length. Illusionary truth effect, also known as illusionary truth effect. I know it's Wikipedia, it's a horrible source, but it cites good stuff. It is the tendency to believe false information to be correct after repeated exposure. I mean, you can look it up yourself, illusionary truth effect. What got me to think about this is this comment here. This video was so unneeded, and wow, are you serious? 8-hour-long video, cool. No, this video was... Sorry, I can't do that sort of measly voice. No, this video was needed. Matt and Ann's video was full of disingenuous arguments and misrepresentation of the games. Not done yet, a little bit, halfway done, but the first hour, I just hated you. Hola! He really did poison the well. After the first hour, you started making a lot more sense. I had to rewind to actually take your point seriously. This is what got me thinking, is the repetition going on and on? This is why I don't know if he's an idiot or a genius. I don't think he's a genius. I don't even think someone actually would use this. This is just a fun little theory that this comment got me to think about, but I probably thinking Creed is a little bit more devious than he is, and I probably shouldn't actually put this on film and keep it up. But yes, just a theory, just speculation based off that one comment got me to research that. Let's see what time it is. How much more?
And stuff like this that not only allows disease to fester, but also attracts vermin like rats or cockroaches. If the town were instead built on a hill, then all that garbage and filth would drain away from the city naturally with the rain. Megaton is just a...
He just keeps on talking about speculation. Rain, complete disaster, and keeps repeating Megaton's complete disaster. The world building's complete disaster. The game literally begins with... Oh, okay.
It's a complete disaster on every level.
The game literally begins with your dad talking about the waters of life and going on to tell you how terrible life is outside the vault, and then the very first town you get to after you leave uses a puddle in a radioactive crater as its water supply.
I mean...
A puddle as a water supply.
I've already explained why this isn't true, so I don't need to cover it again.
No, you said he claimed it was the town's water source, not radioactive.
And the very first town you get to after you leave uses a puddle in a radioactive crater as its water supply.
Okay. Yes, the wording of this lets Creed exploit it. He says...
And the very first town you get to after you leave uses a puddle in a radioactive crater as its water supply.
I mean...
Is John actually saying this is the only water supply in Megaton? No. That's how Creed is interpreting it.
I've already explained why this isn't true.
No, I'm not going to go over it. It's one of the things...
So I don't need to cover it again.
Main video.
But this really does go to show how far he's stretching to defend this game, when he's outright blatantly ignoring...
And he keeps reiterating John stretching, inventing, making things up. You repeat it enough. If people watch enough and listen to it enough, they might start believing it. It's like a Jedi mind trick.
The water processing plant as if it doesn't exist. This is incredibly dishonest, and also really weird, because in trying to defend the game, he's actually making it look worse. Bethesda...
Why is he bringing this up? He's trying to actually address the world building argument. Water is actually a concern, and he's not making it worse, he's just not making it any better. The more ammo you're giving him, he's giving you more ammo, I agree, and that could be taken, easily manipulated. I even agree with that in my video, that it does give the impression that it might be the only water source. So you jump on it, of course. Creed jumps on it. Keep talking like he's right here in front of me. I doubt he would actually have a civil discussion with me, but that's completely fine.
Accounted for the water source, but he's saying it's a puddle on the ground.
It helps make you realise how bad things are on the Wasteland and how important Project Purity is when that gets introduced. Thematically, it actually works really well.
Except it didn't. Here's the problem. The supposed water crisis comes across as an afterthought more than anything.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to cover. I was working on the video and I'm like, shit, I sort of just harp on this one point. I don't really address this because I can't address every freaking point Creed brings up. I don't want to say I have to cover his whole video, but it's definitely something I should bring up here while I was thinking. I'll get with you, Sacred G, afterwards. I just want to make sure I have this covered.
Besides the water beggars, Liam Neeson and Dr. Lee, hardly anyone in the Wasteland seems to care about the water issue. If there's such a dire shortage of water, then...
Okay, he's saying all these people aren't concerned about the water issue. Here's Walter. one you go to fix the water pipes. Okay. He is concerned about the water purifier Megaton breaking down. Play this. Maybe I can learn from his repetition. So, I could have a clip, but
I hope you can help. If folks knew how bad it was getting up here, well, I don't know what would happen.
I actually don't believe that. Because I make the argument most people are very ignorant. They would probably just find a new town and let Megaton die. That'd be my opinion. Okay. And he claims no one cares about the bomb. Well, the cult sort of worship the bomb. So it puts some pressure on the people to not get rid of the bomb. But
what can I tell you about Megaton? Well, that fucking bomb is killing us all slowly. How's that for a piece of information?
Obviously, some people are aware of it. Why doesn't he leave? Because the town would probably knows he's old, and that without it, the purifier would die because no one knows how to fix it besides him. Because no one's educated. Moyer Brown could probably do it. That's probably about the only person. And last one.
All right, relax. But all you've done is delay the inevitable. Without those parts, the plant's gonna croak sooner or later. But what do you care? You just want your money. Here, take it and get out.
It's really iffy. I'm gonna have to go. Really can't find any definitive evidence if that plant will actually stay. And this always. Okay, let's address the point.
Shouldn't it be the prime concern for literally every single person and every settlement's day-to-day survival? Megaton is barely getting by with its purifier. As far as I can tell, none of the other towns, besides Rivet City, have any kind of proper water source.
Correcto mundo, and he's going to turn this into a problem of some type.
Where does Tenpenny Tower get their water from? Or Arafu? Republic of Dave? Canterbury? This is why many people have a hard time taking Fallout 3 seriously.
You don't think Megaton has that big water purifier? Being a train town, I'm pretty sure that's one of the main exports of Megaton. They probably even have a secondary purifier to have even pure, sort of like Mr. Handy will actually give you pure water. You purify it enough, then you process it again to pretty much have it to have no rats. Yeah, just a theory, but comparison to your assumption, theories are good enough.
And have so much criticism for it. We're supposed to care about a water crisis that hardly anyone in the game world ever acknowledges.
No, you just omit evidence, like Walter. You did bring up a few things about things that people will. You blame basically John of omitting Walter and the water purifier, yet you omit Walter's concerns about the water purifier. That's rather double standard. This Walter is your evidence, yet you don't bring him up as support. I mean, I completely understand. As I said, John, he's doing a video essay defending Fallout 3. You are doing a takedown. You're not obligated to provide him with any evidence. But if you want to claim you're the honest one, which is laughable at best, then I just don't know. Sheesh, you really don't think some people will look? I'm obviously from your comment section of all the people who are like, oh, this is so awesome, but...
Well, the game world itself is filled with dumb, goofy bullshit, like Superhuman Gambit, Republic of Dave, and the Nuka-Cola bitch.
And he's just killing everything. He really has an aggression problem. These clips just show. You pay attention to the clips. A lot of people don't pay attention to clips. He has a real aggression problem. Definitely a min-max player, I'm guessing. I'm pretty sure he uses cheats.
Republic of Dave is preoccupied with their dumb voting system for a town with only 6 people in it. over ensuring they have the necessary resources to continue existing.
Everything's
The
dead.
two costume dipshits can waste each and every day insulting each other in the streets and having their dumb showdowns. The Nuka-Cola bitch spends 24/7 in her moron
So, he is so respectful. Ugh, I just don't want to hear it. I'm going to skip as much as I can.
simping after her. Could someone please
sorry.
accept dumb collectible bullshit, and the only other person in Girder Shade is spending his time simping after her? Could someone please explain to me how all these dipshits manage to survive day to day?
Oh, God. Oh, well, you seem to know so much. This guy does not understand basic human emotion, does he? The simp. He's such a fucking low fucking chud. And I'm about to say an insult that I cannot substantiate. So,
During a
just go.
water crisis that is impacting literally the entire wasteland besides Oasis? The tree minders might be morons who have branches in their clothes.
I mean, can you say anything nice about any of these characters? Is there a single NPC that he doesn't completely despise or insult or degrade? It just really shows his freaking bias. I mean, has he talked? He really is creating a horrible illusion of crap.
But at least they kinda sorta get a pass here. Like, they don't actually have any crops growing, but I'm willing to buy they've got access to something they can eat, because they at least have living plants. If a game tells me there's a dire
Yeah, there's mushrooms, dude. Mushrooms, okay? Make a mushroom soup. Or something like that.
problem, then fails to properly portray that problem, that is a serious issue. Even Skyrim's non-existent civil war, despite its lack of engagement, was something that NPCs were constantly talking about.
Okay, lovely. You're using a lack of dialogue. You know what? When people are uncomfortable about something, an uncomfortable truth, some people won't talk about it. Okay, especially when they can't do anything about it. You cannot prove that people aren't just being blissfully ignorant. Obviously, you just agree with them. Your blissful ignorance is pretty obvious if you listen to you enough. Oh, blistering ignorance. I think it's more raging denialism, but that's a personal theory of mine. And yeah.
You can ask various Jarls for their stances on it, as well as members of their courts. On top of this, Skyrim actually had ordinary people concerned about the dragons. Oblivion had people concerned about the Oblivion Crisis, along with literally almost any other recent in-game event. In Fallout 3, there's a token effort at best to portray the dire water crisis.
Yeah, crazy comparing a lack of resources to things that can fry your face, burn your houses. Sorry, there's a difference between civil starvation and death by dehydration or rad poisoning in comparison to all these examples he is given. It's a false equivalence or false dichotomy in reality, and he brings that sort of rhetoric up himself. This is why I feel free to use all the fallacies to freaking counter him. I generally try to match my videos with whatever the content creator's doing. Mr. Caption was laid back and cool, so I took a laid back and cool approach. Mr. H. Bomber Guy tried using insults and humor and craptastic crap, so I did that. He's trying to prove John is a liar, so I'm going to do the same thing in my video. But the difference is I can actually prove it. You can only twist it.
As if acknowledging it was nothing more than a formality, rather than the entire point of the main story. The water beggars are a band-aid to a bullet wound.
Yeah, no, they are just obvious. They are the tip of the iceberg. iceberg theory. Tip of the iceberg. Probably explain it's like terms like the iceberg theory a little bit. Anyone who's curious about it, look up iceberg theory. Probably getting it wrong, but basically it's depicting the surface. You see the tip of the iceberg, it's probably much bigger and deeper underneath. So, not a band-aid.
Where did you leave off on the Creetosis video? Or on your video?
I was just going over what I wanted to make sure I caught. Pretty much when he started railing on the water problem and talking, yes, Megaton has has the water purifier, but what about Tenpenny Tower? What about this town and that town? Basically, whataboutisms. Put a whole bunch of whataboutisms to say what about all these others? The water problem.
the puddle argument he brought up.
Yes, which he definitely twists his words. John says water supply. Why? Creed twists that, of course, to be water source. John never implied that the water puddle was the only source of water in Megaton. But typical twisting of words.
Yeah, it seems to be his go-to, sadly. Which is kind of sad because he could be, a truthful YouTuber. It's just he's deciding not to do that. Did you happen to see the Reddit reply that Matten gave Creetosis?
Yeah, of course. I did the research.
What'd you think? Do you think Matten was twisting and defaming his character?
No, someone insults you. Someone makes a video on you. I don't expect Creed to actually respond to either one of us when we put out videos. I mean, even if we try to be completely respectful, it'll probably get more insults. So it is probably better if you do a video on him going hard. I actually found someone else talking about Creed recently.
Oh, really? Who?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, you're good. I thought we lost connection for a second.
No, I had to step away. But yeah, there was a video. I found that interesting, but
yeah, no. When I saw your comment replies to him when he was like, "Oh, fuck you," this, that, the other thing, and then insert the R slur and whatever else he said, I know was an insult. I was like, man, you can't. You're trying to be a game analytic, whatever it's called, like a reviewer. We'll just say that. Yeah, an analysis, whatever, a game reviewer. And you're attacking people who slightly disagree with you. Like, almost all the comments I've seen, at least on my end, it just seems that he cannot take a single ounce of criticism. I mean, they weren't even that bad. And he treated it as if it was like they were attacking his life or character or whatever.
Well, he gets a lot of that 8-hour stuff, but he did it to himself. He didn't need to make it that long. Okay,
exactly.
Like, okay, dude, you do you. Just be chilled. I don't care if he insults me. In fact, I feel bad for him. That he feels he needs to insult and be so defensive.
Yeah, that's a bit ridiculous. Over a video game, too, which is even more funny. And did you know that this is a remake? The 8 Hours is a remake?
Yes, I am aware of that. I cannot find his original one. Supposedly, by his own words, it was much more nasty and insulting, so he remade it.
Which, in my opinion, like, when he brought that up, when he removed the, insults and stuff, that's a massive turnoff, because that's telling me, at least to me, that you weren't fair in your video, and you were a bit angry. So I'm pretty sure this review is going to be biased, and just, I want it this way, and you can't have it your way, so to speak.
And you have the fits in this right off the start. You have the preemptive counter criticism. You have the lack of actually the Mr. Caption argument almost as a argument when Mr. Craption, as much as I liked his video, it was extremely
Yeah.
flawed in many areas.
Yeah, it's very true. I did enjoy Mr. Caption as well. I was actually a couple months ago, I was going over his Fallout 4 video, and he happened to say some things I later uh, didn't end up agreeing with, because when I watched him, I was fairly young. I believe I was in my early 20s at the time. And yeah, sometimes some people can say the magic words and you can believe it sometimes. It's like, holy crap.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know if you caught what I was bringing up about illusionary truth.
Oh, with Creetosis? No, I was
Yes.
actually in the middle of trying to find something while I was listening to you. I'm sorry.
No, absolutely fine.
But I
Probably
do
not.
I do understand what you're getting at. Like Creetosis needs to like spit out his fucking points. Like he talked about the water situation for far,
Oh, yeah,
because
of
I think
course.
Creetosis might have it. Now I will say I did not watch this, so if, for those in the future watching this, I have no knowledge in this new video Creetosis put out. But yeah, about your point there, I'm so sorry, but yeah, I believe that could be the case. I mean, it seems like it.
Well, everyone talks about the railroading of Fallout.
Yeah.
Fallout
Yeah,
3 that
so
he keeps
I
trying to
think
say.
I believe, yeah, you're right to assess that. I agree. I mean, if you're gonna hammer home the same exact arguments that is on YouTube, that's been on YouTube for years and keeps being brought up again, then yeah.
Lack of choice. Also, something I don't know if I streamed this, but in my research, I'm really trying to. Maybe you can help me find this. Like when
What
he's
is
talking
that?
about Indigo Gaming's. When he's talking about
Oh,
Indigo Gaming, the
the
antithetical to the core of Fallout. I tried to research the core of Fallout. I cannot find a source. I really like to have sources for claims, so
oh yeah, me
the
too.
best I could find is a quote from Tim Kaine about something about it has nothing to do with any of the things. The core of Fallout is the ethics of the post-apocalyptic world. You can probably look it up. It's actually in part of Indigo's gaming video. The quote from
The
Tim Kaine.
oh, the Fallout isn't Fallout video?
Yes. Somewhere in there he has that quote, and it has nothing to do with freedom. Freedom was the byproduct of interplay, given Tim Kaine pretty much free reign. But once Fallout became, more profitable, they pretty much took the reins from. They pretty much started changing it from Fallout 2, making changes, the developer, and less freedom. And then you
Yeah.
had Fallout Tactics, then Fallout Tactics Brotherhood. I just don't
Uh,
see this freedom that these people are talking about as a central core or tenet. It's more about
Of
the ethics of the post nuclear environment and checking out new places. And even there's even a clip of
yeah.
Tim Kaine praising Fallout 3. He had
I mean,
criticism, as Mr.
I
Caption brought up, about reusing the Brotherhood of Steel, Enclave, and Super Mutants, but I understand that. They were his babies.
yeah. Mr. Caption wasn't actually so bad. I don't think he was like intentionally trying to get people to
No, he definitely seemed
believe
like
his video.
he definitely seemed like he had emotional attachment. It came across very clearly.
Yeah, and now, but Creetosis though, this is just insane. It's like, holy shit, man! You have to like hammer every small goddamn point that John brings in, like, and he
Well,
stretches it, which is insane.
as I said, I think he just does it to sort of obfuscate the actual truth. You drag it out. Like I have that one example. I have it in my video where he uses Jonathan Frank's "Tell You You're Wrong" for 47 seconds. He uses that sort of clip. I don't know if he runs it for the full 47 seconds, then he reiterates it before the water point. You have...
Man, Creetosis.
I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't like him out there. Just probably very few people making videos on him because they're scared.
Yeah, and the thing is, we don't hate Creetosis. We just disagree with how he's going about being an analysis.
You can't say I disagree with these video series where he's trying to claim that John, Mini a True Nerds, is being dishonest.
Yeah, that's complete bullshit too.
Just,
over a fucking an opinion piece? Like, yes, John's video was obviously an opinion.
He's not.
I don't understand why I would need a response.
He's not.
Say again.
Opinion. He's not seeing this as an opinion. That's my personal.
No, I know. Yeah, that's
really convinced. Just basically, Madden's seems like he's just a Let's Player who does a few video essays, and he does it in the style that most video essayists does it. Bomber Guy doesn't even really... He sort of... I think Madden tried to make a connection with Bomber Guy over this video. There might have been something in the work, but I guess things didn't go through. There's definitely some marketing angle with that video, but I don't think it was an opinion piece to show his strength in what he thought his strength in the video essayist is. Video essayist is just very weak opinion pieces with some facts to back it up, theory-wise.
Yeah, I've thought about doing that on my channel, but nah, screw that. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not bad. I don't mind listening to him every once in a while, but to do that, I mean, everybody has an opinion.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know about video essays. If it floats your boat, but it's not exactly my cup of tea. I like substance and rules, but like
especially like this long, I could probably go to sleep and wake up and the video just finish if I dared to put it on.
No, there's been many quotes saying, "Oh, I went to sleep and the video's still playing."
Yeah, I've seen those too. Those are pretty funny. But in all fairness, like, I don't know. I just don't think there is fairness in this. I mean, one point I do want to bring up is that he says things that sounds like it makes sense. Listen and believe what he says.
So basically, like a lie sandwich.
Great way to put that too.
He sandwiches a lie between two truths.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I think. I mean, for him to say something that makes sense, huh?
You can absolutely prove that. You're like, okay, here's a truth, something confirmed. Here's something he can't prove that seems completely ridiculous. Here's another thing that, by all accounts, seems true. He uses a lot of outside facts. I wonder if he's a history buff.
Like, most of his sources were YouTubers. Like, I don't understand how you can use a YouTuber as a factual source. I mean, sorry. I mean, we have opinions, and sometimes we tend to be a little biased.
I think he's... I wonder if he went to college. I went to college, so you learn a very strict standard.
The age thing, and I started thinking that myself. I hope he's not like 15 or something.
Yeah, well, maturity level is really
pretty bad.
Concern. But yeah, let's not speculate on that.
Yeah, not at all.
Adult.
We were just going over this video.
Yeah, let's see if you can actually watch.
But of course, we can't discuss the bomb without
I can watch. I can hear it too.
The atom, a question which gets brought up frequently in any discussion about how terrible Fallout 3 is. Power of the Atom, as a reminder, is a quest about dealing with the unexploded bomb at the core of Megaton. The sheriff wants it disarmed for good, and Mr. Burke, acting on behalf of Mr. Tenpenny, wants it blown up, wiping Megaton off the map. Many people just like this.
Okay, back up. Any thoughts on this?
I think it's a totally fine opinion to have about the moral ambiguity with the... Are you talking about John's opinion on the Or what
Yeah.
Creetosis is. Oh, yeah, I think it's fine. I don't think this is actually bad at all.
Yeah, you talk about the Kapuni gaming choice.
Ridiculous. As a result, I've seen it be asked many times, why would any character have any reason to blow up the bomb?
This is literally the only reason the bomb exists. It seems pretty obvious that Bethesda thought it would be cool to have a town you can nuke.
On a technical standpoint. On a technical standpoint, I'd agree. I mean, that's the only big bomb in the game I believe you find. I haven't played much of Fallout 3, I could be wrong.
It's only a big bomb in sight. John brings up the fact that there's a satellite where you can nuke part of Fallout 3.
Oh, you can nuke part of Fallout 3?
I think it from orbital station. I think it's in one of the DLCs. This is why I'm gonna go back and replay the game to confirm this.
You know, it's funny. I started playing it last night. I think I told you this in the DMs, but yeah, I started playing it last night. From where I left off.
Yeah, but he's definitely wrong. You think he's right? That's the only reason it's in the game? It's definitely a tone setter.
To be honest, it does fit the theme, so I could say from that standpoint, yeah, he's probably wrong in that standpoint, but I do, in my opinion, like, I like Fallout 3, but I do think that bomb was intentionally put here, like, wonder what you could do with this, you know what I'm saying?
I also think it's...
But I'm not saying he's, like, 100% right.
As I said, I think it's a tone setter. You come out, as a normal person playing the game in the modern world, your character is just in the vault, not knowing anything about the world. You come out into the town, and the first town you're most likely to happen upon has a nuke inside. You would think it's insane. Your character would think it's insane. No one in town seems to care. There's even a cult around it. It's really like a Alice in Wonderland, or you're not in Kansas anymore moment for players. And it's, I agree with really that. So,
because I forgot about the children of Adam that suck off the bomb.
Yes, I mean, I do agree it's in the game for this quest, but it's also in the game for...
And it's interesting. I find that cool as fuck, to be honest.
And
like, the children of Adam around it.
Oh, also the big criticism on super mutants. I mean, everyone...
Like, the overabundance. Is it that criticism, or...?
That's more your game, Fallout 4.
Yeah, I agree with that. I actually listened to what you said about the super mutants, like we should have a crossbreed between the cyborg or the synth super mutants. That would have been actually really cool.
Yes, that would have been an awesome way to sort of honor.
It would have made fucking sense.
Yes,
because the Institute made super mutants, so why not make synth super mutants to infiltrate and see how the super mutants act? It's funny.
Super mutants.
Yeah, they just put them in there in Fallout 4 as like what is that? Brute enemy types.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much they could have done and won that, but I'm not gonna talk badly about Fallout 4. I'm also not gonna talk too much nice about it. Let's watch a few more minutes together. I'm curious how a watch together would go. So another reason to invite you on.
Thank you for the ride.
I'm thinking of a podcast in the future with some people. That's far down the line. I need to see how this recording turns out.
That is totally fine. Take your time with that. Gonna end the call?
Yeah. I mean, it would be nice to keep going, but my OBS just keeps disconnecting completely.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, and it's getting late. I should try to sleep.
All right, dude.
Good, take care, man.
Well, when you stream again, I'll try to catch you earlier.
Well, I also definitely streamed tonight because I wanted to get some thoughts out and down on the record. So,
oh no, I totally get why you do it. Sure, the same opinion on Creetosis.
Okay. Well, you have a good night.
Oh wait, final word of thought. I have to ask you, what did you think that was even necessary for an intro to an analysis video? Because the clip I reacted to, that was literally 6 minutes.
That's fine to do as much as you want to. There's really no limit.
Yeah, I mean,
Did you do the whole intro to his video?
Like the whole intro?
Yeah, I would have at least covered the whole intro. I don't know if that was the whole intro to his video.
Oh no, that was not.
You should probably follow up with...
Yeah, I'm going to follow it up with a couple more responses to his intro. I mean, a lot said for that long.
Oh, absolutely. You can feel free to break it up. You should make a note that you're breaking it up in parts next time. Because
thank you for that.
The intro has so much to go through.
Yeah, I just like, to me, just bringing up the older video just seemed like he's like, oh well, he made this video, I'm gonna have to go and make this video. Do you see what I'm saying?
He's building a case, okay. He wants to make it. He made a case and that John was being dishonest in Fallout 3. He wants to reiterate a recap on that he was being dishonest in that one, and now he's being dishonest in that one. It's straight. In theory, if he could make the case in both cases, he strengthens his case for the Fallout 3 video and the Fallout 4 video. He's pretty much just trying to call John dishonest. And the more evidence, I'm saying that very lightly, that John is dishonest, the better it'll work overall.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And then, thank you very much for having me on. I'd love to be on again, actually. This was quite fun.
I understand, yeah. There's some parts that I definitely want to just document, take care, but I wouldn't mind chatting. Well, maybe just have a full session one time, but I'm rather fickle, and that would probably actually have to be after I put out my first part. I want to have a real life. I understand completely.
Yeah.
Don't want to be a terminal onliner like some people.
Yeah, and just pump videos out every day.
Yeah,
Or result to making these hours-long fucking videos just misrepresenting and...
See, I'm perfectly fine with hour-long videos. I'm a fan of Mahler and EFAP to a certain degree. But I understand he takes a long time to make those videos, and I can understand...
The thing is, if it has obvious effort put into it, it's fine. This Creetosis doesn't, in my opinion. He just does not have any effort put into his video. I'm not saying I, was any better. I'm not perfect.
Yeah, build up your case. Build up your skill set, improve as you go along. That's what I'm doing.
Exactly. That's how you can improve as a human.
If you expect to be perfect the first time you do something,
you just fail and you grow and you go.
I'm a jack of all trades. I'm a jack of all trades, so I know a lot about it in writing. Stephen King has some great advice that you can read all the books in the world, but until you start writing, you won't become good at writing. That's my philosophy.
Because you always have plot holes. As long as it's entertaining enough to cover it, then you should be good.
That was a non sequitur. Did I miss something?
No, not that I know of.
Okay, sorry. Said something about plot holes.
Oh, no, I was saying everything has plot holes. As long as it's entertaining enough to cover them, you should be fine.